ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to work on right now is solving radical equations. That's not how you spell. Solving radical equations. Spelled exactly correct. I know, it is. All right, so these are operations with radical expressions, aka solving radical equations. All right, so here's our equation. Two passengers on a cruise ship look out across the horizon. So beautiful out there. One of the passengers who's standing on the upper deck can see a distance of radical 48 miles. That's cute. Next one.
Hey, some texted you.
I know, thank you. The other passenger is standing on the lower deck and see a distance of radical 27 miles. Ooh, not quite as far. Would you say that is further or less further?
Less.
Less further. Good call. All right, so our question asks us, write an expression to represent the difference between the two distances each passenger can see. Then simplify the expression, keeping your answer in radical form. Show all steps, blah, 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 nobody cares. Okay, so write an expression to represent the difference between the two distances. Obviously, it's going to be radical 27 minus radical 48. Yeah, my handwriting is not great, I know. So we're subtracting these. Now, here's the problem. We need to put these in simplest radical form to be able to do this, okay? Yes, ma'am.
Why is it 27 minus 48? 48's bigger.
Okay, well, we can switch it. That would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Radical 48 minus radical 27. Astute assumption. We'll say 5 points to Hufflepuff. You're in Hufflepuff, right? Okay, 5 points to Hufflepuff. Good job. All right, so.
I don't know.
Good talk. All right, so we're going to subtract these. But the problem is we have to put them in simplest radical form. Okay? Now, here we go. Pause on what you're about to say. Here's the key to putting things in simplest radical form. You ready? Are you looking at the screen? So, these are our key numbers. 4, 9, 16, and 25.
Why are those?
Why? That's exactly what I was about to ask y'all. Why are those key numbers? I'll tell you why. What's the square root of 4? 2. What's the square root of 9? 3. What's the square root of 16? 4. What's the square root of 25? 5. All of these, when you get the square root of them, they turn into a legit real number. There's no decimal, no fraction, none of that. It's a straight up number, okay? So what we want to do is we want to break these down to where I have these numbers in there, okay? So let's look at it.
Why those numbers?
Because if I get the square root of one of these numbers, I've got a real number and I can get it out of the square root. You'll see. Look at radical 48. Did any of those four numbers go into 48?
And any calculator.
4.
Do which one?
4.
4. So we can do radical 4. Now, what times radical 4 equals 48? Or what times 4 equals 48?
12.
12. Very
How
good.
do you know that?
Because he's a genius. Okay, so we've got 4 and 12. Now, here's the thing, guys. I can do this because if, just like 8, we know 2 times 4 equals 8, right? Correct? Does 2 times 4 equals
I
8?
thought you said 2 plus 4.
No, that was 6,
What
yes.
did you write up?
I just wrote it up here. I'm showing you an example of why we can do this. 8, and then we've got 2 times 4. 2 times 4 can always be multiplied back together and equal 8, can it?
Yeah.
So that's all I'm doing here. All I'm doing here is breaking it down. I could always multiply radical 4 times radical...
Tree, like that.
All those tree things.
What?
Those little tree things whenever you take something and break it down.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing here.
Okay.
Exactly what we're doing. 4 times 12 is 48. So if I wanted, I could always put these two back together and make it radical 48. So I'm not changing what radical 48 is. I'm just changing what it looks like. Okay? It's like instead of putting, 10 there, I could change it to 2 times 5, which is the same thing, correct? It's just written different. So that's what we're doing here. Now, the reason I do this is, what is radical 4? 2. That square root is gone. I broke it out of square root jail. Okay, it is a straight up number 2, which is what we wanted. Now, we've got 2 radical 12. Before we're done with this one, look up here. Do any of these numbers go into 12?
4.
4. So we can break it down again. Bring down my 2, and I'm going to bring down this and make it radical 4. What is 4? 3. Very good. Now, what happens to this radical 4? What does it turn into?
2.
2. So now we've got 2 times radical 3. Now, can I simplify that?
Yes.
What?
4 times radical 3.
Very good. 4 times radical 3. Okay, now let me make this smaller because I'm running out of room. Okay, so we got this, and it is 4 radical 3. All right, that's the same thing as radical 48. We did not change it, we just changed what it looked like, okay? So that's 4 radical 3. Now, It's our turn to do this with radical 27. Do any of these four numbers go into 27?
9.
9, very good. How many times does 9 go into 27?
3.
3. What is radical 9?
3.
And then can we simplify radical 3 any? No. So that's it for this one. So it's 3 radical 3. Now, we've simplified both of these. We've kept them in their radicals. We didn't put it in the calculator and get a decimal. We didn't screw it up at all, okay? Now, here's what you can do with radicals. It's the same rule as if you're subtracting x's. What would 4x minus 3x be?
X.
1x, which is x. Okay? Same rule here. You would look at these radicals like they're x's, okay? I couldn't add or subtract them if one of them was like radical 5 and the other was radical 3. I couldn't do it, okay? They have to be the exact same radical.
Okay.
But since they are, what would that be?
0.
No. What's 4 minus
1.
3? 1. So it'd be 1 radical 3, which is the same as radical 3.
Wait.
It'd be 4 minus 3, which is...
So if they're the same, then they stay the same in the radical?
Yes,
You don't
inside the
subtract or
radical.
add them?
Correct. You can only multiply stuff inside the radicals, okay? You can't subtract from outside the radical to inside.
So what happens if they're different numbers, then what?
Then you can't. You would leave it, essentially, if it was, like say it was 4 radical 3 minus 3 radical 5, you'd be done. That's as simple as you can make it.
Simplified? Okay.
Yep, that's the simplest radical form. Because the only way to simplify this would be to make it a decimal. Okay, so you're done. And it would just be radical 3.
So that's the answer for A?
Yep.
And how would you do B?
Let's see what it says. Use a calculator to change the answer to decimal form. Well, you would just type that in the calculator, and you'd
And
get the
then write
decimal.
down the decimal and that's it for that
Mhm.
one?
Round the answer to the nearest tenth, so you'd round it to the nearest tenth. Using the decimal number, write a sentence to explain the meaning of it. And that's what you would just look back at the equation where it says 2 passengers on a cruise ship look across the horizon. You found the difference, so therefore your sentence would be something about how the passenger on the upper deck can see this much further than the passenger on the lower deck.
Okay.
Which really you would need to know if they have glasses or binoculars, if they're a superhero. Maybe Superman's on the top deck and just like Bill from accounting is on bottom deck. He can't see as far as Superman.
No.
Superman has zoom vision. Okay? That's it, guys.